Hey everyone, welcome back to Extra Rise English Podcast, the show that helps you level up your English one real conversation at a time. I am Mia.
And I am Leo. So glad you're here.
Okay, so today we're tackling something that I genuinely believe is the most underrated skill in the entire English language. It is not grammar, it is not vocabulary, it is not even pronunciation. It is small talk.
Small talk. The art of saying things that do not really matter in a way that actually matters a lot.
That is such a perfect description, because small talk is not about the content. Nobody actually cares that much about the weather. Nobody is genuinely fascinated by how your weekend was. But small talk is the doorway to every real conversation, every professional relationship, every friendship that starts between two people who do not know each other yet.
It is the social glue, and without it, even if your English is technically excellent, you can come across as cold, unfriendly, or difficult to connect with. Not because you are any of those things, but because you skipped the ritual that builds connection.
And for a lot of us, small talk in English feels almost impossible, not because we don't know the words, but because we don't know the rules. When do you start it? How long does it go? What topics are okay? When does it end? How do you move from small talk into a real conversation? Nobody teaches you any of this.
So today we're going to teach it. 3 things. How to start small talk with someone you just met, how to keep it going when it starts to die, and how to exit gracefully when it's time to move on.
3 skills, all of them learnable, all of them usable immediately. Let's get into it. This is segment 1, why small talk feels so hard. Leo, I want to start with something honest. Small talk feels fake to a lot of people. Like, why are we talking about the weather when we both know neither of us actually cares about the weather?
Right, and this is actually a really common reaction, especially among people from cultures where conversation tends to go deep quickly. In a lot of Asian social contexts, you either know someone well and talk about real things, or you don't know them and you don't really talk at all. The middle space, the light, casual, surface-level exchange, feels artificial.
Yes, it feels like performance, like you're both pretending to be interested in something neither of you cares about.
And here's the reframe that changed everything for me. Small talk is not about the topic. It's never been about the topic. The topic is just the vehicle. What small talk is actually doing is something much more important. It's signaling safety. When you make small talk with someone, what you're really saying is, I'm not a threat. I'm friendly. I'm open. You can relax around me. And the other person is saying the same thing back to you.
Oh, that completely changes how I think about it. It's not fake, it's functional.
It is deeply functional. It's the human equivalent of animals in the wild doing a slow approach before deciding whether the other creature is safe. Except we do it with comments about the coffee machine.
We do it with comments about the coffee machine. Okay, so what makes small talk hard beyond the cultural piece?
The second thing that makes it hard is not knowing the unwritten rules. Small talk has a structure, a rhythm, and a set of conventions that native speakers follow without even thinking about. But if nobody taught you those conventions, you end up either going too deep too fast, which makes people uncomfortable, or staying too shallow for too long, which makes the conversation feel pointless, or not knowing how to end it, which makes both people feel trapped.
All 3 of which I have experienced at various points. Going too deep too fast is a very specific kind of awkward.
It really is. So let's talk about the rules. This is segment 2, the 3 skills. Skill number 1, starting small talk. The biggest mistake people make here is waiting for the perfect opening. They think, I'll speak when I have something really interesting to say. But small talk doesn't work like that. The opening doesn't need to be interesting. It just needs to be warm and relevant to the shared situation.
Shared situation. What does that mean exactly?
It means whatever is happening around you right now. You're both waiting for the same elevator. You're both standing near the coffee machine. You're both early to the same meeting. You're both in a long queue. That shared situation is your opening. You make a light comment about what you're both already experiencing, and then you invite the other person in with a light question. So, for example, this queue is moving really slowly today, right? Have you been waiting long? Or, the coffee here is surprisingly good for an office kitchen. Have you tried the other machine on the third floor?
Have you tried the other machine on the third floor? I love that one because it's so specific. It sounds like something a real person would actually say.
That's the point. Small talk should sound like a real person, not a textbook. Other natural openers, looks like it's going to rain again today. Did you manage to stay dry coming in? Or in a class or workshop setting, is this your first time at one of these sessions? Or this is a really interesting topic. Have you studied this before?
And notice all of those end with a question, not a yes or no question, an open question that gives the other person room to actually respond.
Right. A yes or no question closes the door. An open question opens it. And opening the door is the whole goal of the first move in small talk.
Okay, I want to try a few. We're both standing near the snack table at a work event. Observation plus question. These snacks are way better than I expected. Have you tried the ones on the other end of the table?
Perfect. Light, warm, specific, ends with an open question. Or in a waiting room, it looks like they're running a little behind today. Have you been here long?
Or in a class before it starts, this professor always starts exactly on time. Have you taken one of his classes before?
All of them work. All of them are warm without being intense. All of them invite the other person in without putting pressure on them.
Okay, skill number 2, keeping small talk going when it starts to die, because this is the moment most people dread. You've made your opening, the other person responded, and now there's a pause, and you have absolutely nothing to say next.
Right, and what usually happens in that pause is panic. Your brain goes completely blank, and then the silence gets longer, and then it becomes awkward, and then you both look at your phones.
I have looked at my phone so many times to escape an awkward silence.
We all have. So the skill here is having a set of transition moves ready. Phrases that can restart the conversation or take it in a new direction when it starts to slow down. The most powerful one is the topic bridge. You take something the other person just said and you use it as a bridge to a new topic.
Okay, what does that sound like?
So let's say you started with a comment about the coffee and they said, "Yeah, I've been drinking way too much coffee this week. It's been a really busy period." You pick up on busy period. That's your bridge. You could say, "Oh, tell me about it. Has it been a busy time at work lately?" Or busy how, in a good way or a stressful way?
Oh, I love that. Busy how, in a good way or a stressful way? That question is so natural. It shows genuine curiosity and it takes the conversation somewhere real without being too personal.
And that's the art of the topic bridge. You're not changing the subject completely, you're following a thread from what they just gave you, so you never run out of things to say, you just keep pulling threads.
Keep pulling threads. Okay, I love that image. What are some other transition moves for when the conversation stalls?
A few reliable ones. The honest pivot. I actually don't know much about that. What is it like? This works when they mention something you're not familiar with. Instead of pretending you know, you turn your ignorance into genuine curiosity. The compliment bridge. I noticed your bag earlier. Is that a local brand? Or, your English is really natural. Have you spent time abroad? And the callback, circling back to something from earlier in the conversation. You mentioned you've been really busy. What kind of work do you do?
The callback is so good because it shows you were actually listening, which is one of the most flattering things you can do in a conversation.
People remember the people who listen, always.
Okay, pause right here. If what Leo just said, people remember the people who listen, landed for you the way it landed for me, this is the kind of insight we drop every single week on this show. Hit subscribe right now if you're not already. You don't want to miss next week.
Okay, skill number 3.
Exiting small talk gracefully, because this is the one nobody talks about but everyone struggles with. How do you end small talk without it feeling abrupt or rude?
Right, and most people either just trail off, letting the conversation die slowly and awkwardly, or they make an excuse that's obviously not true. "Oh, I just remembered I have to make a call."
The fake phone call, a classic.
A classic for a reason, but there's a better way. The graceful exit has 3 parts: positive closing statement, reason, and open door. You say something warm about the conversation, something genuine. Then you give a brief reason for leaving. You don't need to explain yourself, just a short, natural signal. And then you leave the door open for future interaction.
Okay, what does that sound like in practice?
So, for example, this has been really nice. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. I should go find my colleague before the session starts, but I hope we run into each other again. Or more simply, it was really great talking to you. I'm going to grab some food before it runs out, but I hope we get a chance to chat more later.
And what makes those exits work is the open door at the end. I hope we run into each other again. I hope we get to talk more at the next one. I hope we cross paths again soon. It tells the person, this was not nothing. I valued this exchange. We're not strangers anymore.
Which is the whole point of small talk in the first place. You started as strangers, you end as something slightly more than that.
Even in 5 minutes, even over a comment about the coffee machine.
Even over a comment about the coffee machine. Okay, phrases. This is the key phrases section.
3 phrases, all natural, all immediately usable. Leo, first one.
Phrase number 1, pull a thread or keep pulling threads. This came from our conversation about keeping small talk going. When you pull a thread, you take something someone said and follow it further. You ask more about it. You explore it. You let it lead somewhere new.
Right, and it is such a useful mental image because in any conversation, even one that feels like it is dying, there are always threads. Every sentence someone says contains at least one thing you could follow. You just have to notice it and pull.
So if someone says, I just got back from a trip, that sentence has at least 3 threads. Where they went, why they went, what it was like. Any one of those is a valid pull. You could say, oh nice, where did you go? Or was it for work or personal? Or how was it?
And suddenly you are in a real conversation without anyone having to try very hard.
Right. Pull a thread. Keep the conversation alive. Phrase number 2, in a good way or a stressful way. Mia loved this one earlier, and it's a really specific kind of question. What linguists call a clarifying alternative. You offer 2 possible directions and let the other person choose.
And it works so well because it is specific enough to show you were listening, but open enough to let them answer however they feel comfortable. You can use this structure anywhere. Exciting how? In a scary way or a fun way? Different how? Better or worse? Busy how? In a good way or a stressful way?
It makes you sound genuinely curious, like you're not asking a question just to fill silence. You're asking because you actually want to understand.
Which is the best version of small talk, when it stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling like genuine curiosity.
Phrase number 3, I hope we get a chance to chat more. This is your graceful exit line. It closes the conversation on a warm, open note. It signals that the exchange meant something to you, and it leaves the door open for future interaction without making any specific promises or putting pressure on anyone.
Right. It's not give me your number, which can feel too much, and it's not just walking away, which can feel too little. It's exactly in the middle. Warm, genuine, low pressure.
And you can adapt it. I hope we run into each other again. I hope we get to talk more at the next one. I hope we cross paths again soon. All of them carry the same warmth with the same low pressure.
Okay, listeners, 3 phrases. Pull a thread, in a good way or a stressful way. I hope we get a chance to chat more. Say those out loud right now. Pause, say them. All right, segment 3, the drill. 3 scenarios, all of them out loud. Leo, ready?
Ready.
Okay, scenario 1. You're at a company event. You don't know anyone. There's a person standing near the food table who also seems to be alone. You want to start a conversation. What do you say?
I would walk over and say something like, the food here is so much better than I expected. Have you tried the spring rolls? They're surprisingly good. And then once they respond, I would pull a thread from whatever they say. If they say, yeah, I haven't eaten since lunch, I follow that. Oh, long day? Are you in the same department or did you come from a different office?
I love that. He started with the shared situation, the food, right in front of both of them. No need to think of something clever, just notice what is already there. And then he pulled a thread immediately from their response. The conversation keeps moving without anyone having to force it.
And notice, none of those questions are too personal. They're all light. all relevant to the situation, all open enough for the other person to answer however they feel comfortable.
Okay, say that out loud, listeners. Start with an observation about a shared situation and end with an open question. Pause and try your own version now. Scenario 2. You're in a small talk conversation with someone and it's starting to stall. They just said, "Yeah, it's been a pretty quiet week for me, actually." And then silence. How do you keep it going?
I would pull a thread from quiet week. I would say something like, quiet how? In a nice relaxing way, or the kind of quiet where you're waiting for something big to happen? And then, whichever way they go, I follow. If they say, actually, more the second one, I say, oh really, what's coming up? And suddenly, we're in a real conversation about something that actually matters to them.
And the magic is in that question, quiet how? In a nice, relaxing way, or the kind of quiet where you're waiting for something big to happen? It's so specific. It shows you heard them, and it gives them two completely different directions to take the conversation. They get to choose what they want to share.
Right. You're not pulling the conversation somewhere they don't want to go. You're opening two doors and letting them walk through whichever one feels right.
Okay, say that out loud. Take a simple statement, quiet week, busy day, long morning, and turn it into a clarifying alternative question. Pause and try it now. Last one, scenario 3. You've been in a small talk conversation for about 5 minutes at a networking event. It's been genuinely enjoyable, but you can see that the program is about to start and you need to find your seat. How do you exit gracefully?
I would say this has been such a nice conversation. I feel like we barely scratched the surface. I'm gonna go find my seat before it gets too crowded, but I hope we get a chance to chat more after the program, maybe over coffee.
Oh, that's such a warm exit. He closed with a genuine compliment about the conversation. We barely scratched the surface, which tells the person it was real, not just polite performance. He gave a natural reason for leaving, I'm going to find my seat, and he left the door wide open. I hope we get a chance to chat more after the program, maybe over coffee.
And maybe over coffee is doing a lot of work in that sentence. It's not a firm invitation, it's not a promise, it's just a warm suggestion that keeps the possibility open without putting anyone on the spot.
I love that. Okay, say that exit out loud. Positive closing statement, brief reason, open door. Try your own version right now. Pause and say it. All right, wrapping up. Here's your one thing from today. Small talk is not fake. It's not a waste of time. It's not meaningless conversation about things nobody cares about. It's the ritual that tells another person, I see you. I'm safe. Let's begin. And once you understand that, once you stop thinking of it as performance and start thinking of it as connection, it stops feeling hard. It starts feeling like exactly what it is. The beginning of something real.
And your assignment this week. Start one small talk conversation with someone you don't know well, a colleague you've never spoken to, someone in a cube, someone at a class or event. Use the observation plus question formula to open. Pull one thread to keep it going, and exit with warmth. Then come to the comments and tell us how it went. We want to hear every single story.
We genuinely do. Those stories are the whole point. And if this episode gave you something useful, if it made that next small talk moment feel a little less scary, share it with one person who goes quiet in social situations. Not because it helps us, because that person is out there right now dreading the exact conversation this episode just prepared you for. Be the one who sends it to them.
And if you want more of this every single week, subscribe. We'll be here.
All right, thank you so much for being here on Extra Rise English Podcast. And remember,
Because one serving of English is never enough.
see you in the next episode.